Good afternoon. My name is Diane Weinberg, and this is the July 2014 newsletter for MorganDiSalvo, the Passionate Estate Planner. And today's topic is Casey Kasem, Lessons Learned from the End of Life. And if you're like me, you remember Casey Kasem as the smooth voice for the American Top 40. Every Sunday, he told me what was hot in the world of music and what was not. My kids know Casey Kasem as the voice of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. But unfortunately, during the last year of his life, Casey Kasem was not known for his accomplishments during his lifetime, his contributions to music or to the entertainment industry, but rather he was known for the family conflict that surrounded the end of his life. Casey Kasem, like many of our clients, was from a blended family. He was married twice. His first marriage he had 3 children with his first wife, and he had 1 child with his second wife. And you may know his second wife, Jean Kasem, because she was an actress on Cheers. She played the ditzy blonde. And but again, she and Casey had 1 daughter, Liberty Kasem. During the final years of his life, during the final year, really, of his life, Jean Kasem prevented Casey Kasem from seeing his 3 children, who were very anxious to see their father, who was at an end stage of a long illness. And in fact, because they were being prohibited from seeing their father, Casey Kasem's children filed for guardianship in October 2013. And the court appointed Casey an attorney, and the attorney asked Casey whether he wanted to see his children, and indeed he did. June advised, in the following month, Jean, his wife, advised the court that she felt the children would be too disruptive, and she did not want them coming in to see Casey. The family continued to negotiate on this issue of visitation, and in December 2013, they actually came to an agreement. Unfortunately, Jean decided not to honor the agreement, and it fell through. The guardianship proceeded. In May of this year, Casey's children were granted guardianship. Really, his daughter was granted, and I guess in California, it's a conservatorship over her father. The following day, Casey went missing. And what ultimately happened, we learned, was that Jean Kasem, his wife, had taken him to Washington State to a facility there. And after a missing persons report was filed, the police found, or somebody reported to the police about Casey Kasem's whereabouts. They went to go see him, and at that time they determined that he was fine. In fact, Casey Kasem was under the impression that he was on vacation. He was not quite aware of everything that was going on. He was brought back to California, and within a month, Jean Kasem was reporting to the court that his daughter, that the guardian, was withholding food and water from Casey Kasem, and that would eventually cause his death. The court investigated her claim and indeed found that food and water was being withheld. The court also found that the doctors determined that Casey Kasem's body was shutting down, that he was unable to process the water and the nutrition that he was being provided, and that in fact, the providing of food and water was damaging his organs further. Casey Kasem also left what's called a living will. And in this living will, he specifically stated that he did not want what are called extraordinary measures at the end of the life. He actually wanted food and water withheld at the end of his life if it was not going to do anything other than prolong his life. So the court, hearing all this evidence, determined on June 9th that they were going to allow his daughter to continue to withhold food and water. And within a week, on June 15th, Mr. Kasem, Casey Kasem, the voice of America, passed. What's also notable is that his wife and his daughter, Liberty, did not see him at all in the hospital during his final illness. So there are a couple of lessons learned from this end of life. And these, again, are things that we see not from celebrities, but every day in our office at MorganDiSalvo. The first is the importance of the living will. As you can see here, Casey Kasem specifically stated that he wanted food and water, nutrition and hydration, withheld at the end of his life. Even though his wife, understandably, was not really willing to let him go and really wanted to continue what are called extraordinary measures, the court honored Mr. Kasem's final wishes, Casey Kasem's final wishes, and allowed the family to withhold nutrition and hydration. And ultimately, he did pass peacefully. The second point here has to do with family relationships when you have dementia. And unfortunately, we see this in our office all the time where a family member develops dementia. And if there's tension in that family, the family member's ultimately going to become essentially a pawn to this family dispute. And it's not often that not uncommon for one family member to prevent other family members from having access to the parent with dementia. The First Amendment of the Constitution guarantees our right to freedom of association, which means we get to see whoever we would like to see, unless there's a specific court order in place preventing those two individuals from meeting. And this is true both as an individual, it's true in assisted livings and in nursing homes, and in fact there are separate federal and state statutes protecting an individual in a nursing home and in an assisted living facility, and specifically giving them the right to visit with whomever they would like, even if they're in that facility. In addition, guardians in the state of Georgia cannot prevent their ward from seeing whoever, again, that ward would like to see. So that if I'm my mother's guardian and my mother would like to see my brother, and I really don't like my brother, and I really think my brother's been mean and awful to my mother, if she wants to see him as his guardian, I have to allow that, even though I think it would be better for all if she didn't. The only way I could stop that would be to file for a protective order or get an order from the probate court preventing those two from actually meeting. So it's important when I do have families that come in and seek counsel, and in cases even when there might be abuse among family members, maybe one family member has stolen from the other family member, maybe they just haven't been nice to each other, maybe they've been emotionally abusive, we may try to limit access. We may say you can't spend all day with mom, but we do actually make it a point that mom, if she expresses a desire to see that family member, that those two family members will be able to visit, even if we limit the circumstances under which those visits will occur. So you may ask, how did this issue of visitation ultimately play out in Casey Kasem's case? Well, as I mentioned before, in May, his daughter was granted guardianship over her father, and they were allowed to go visit with their father. I also want to make one more note as to how important the issue of visitation is. Casey Kasem's wife, Jean, was not a new wife. It wasn't somebody who stepped into the situation and then suddenly decided that he shouldn't see his children. She'd been his wife for over 30 years, for 34 years, in fact. But her actions in preventing him from seeing his family over his wishes were sufficient that the court did not grant her guardianship. It went elsewhere. So it's very important when you're dealing with family members with dementia and complicated family situations that you seek guidance from experienced, knowledgeable attorneys who can help you both with your estate planning issues, who can also help you with your long-term care family issues, as well as your end-of-life issues. We are here to help you with this very important process. We do offer complimentary estate planning consultations, and we believe that our client should be it is our firm's philosophy that clients need to be given the opportunity to control what happens during their lifetime and after their deaths, and that they should make the right decisions based on their needs and the needs of their families. And our goal is to educate our clients about the issues they face and provide them options with how to deal with those issues. So if you and your family are addressing these issues, or if you have clients that are facing these issues, please have them call and set up an appointment with our office. You can contact Karrah Hammock at You can contact Karrah Hammock at 678-720-0750 or at kspeed@MorganDiSalvo.com. This information should all be provided below this video on this page. So thank you again. We hope you enjoyed your first video newsletter. And remember that life happens. Plan for it.